What is going on, guys? It is Thursday, August 12th, I believe, 13th even possibly. We are starting something new today. Moving forward, I will be documenting my journey as an entrepreneur. That just doesn't look right. Saying that is centered. That is definitely not centered. I will be documenting my journey as an entrepreneur across my 3 businesses that I am doing. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. The 3 businesses that I'm currently running are a firewood business, a personal training business under Lifetime Athletic, and a residential real estate business under Gary Green Better Homes and Gardens Brokerage. I have a lot on my plate, and I wanted to document this part of my life as a 25-year-old single entrepreneur whose goal is to become a high-level operating entrepreneur. This series will primarily and solely focus on my day-to-day life that is involved in those 3 aspects. With that being said, because I am placing this at the forefront of my goals, this will probably take up a majority, if not all, of every waking hour that I have. My goal out of documenting this is not only to help myself, but help others, and showing you what it's like and the obstacles that I will face, and also the triumphs and successes that you may see in a similar circumstance. So getting right into it, most of you guys know my background from the previous 2 seasons of Road to Success as who I am, Chase Yoakley, what I value and what I am working on. This is a great time for me to hop in and kind of start telling my story, because there is a lot going on, and I can feel the stress and the workload increasing and creeping up to a point that I haven't yet achieved yet, or like successfully navigated before. So I guess I'll start off giving a brief introduction of each business, a little bit about it, why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, the goal of me doing it, and just all things in that particular aspect. We'll go ahead and hop right into personal training first. With that business, I am a personal trainer at Lifetime Athletic Country Club, where I'm operating at 100% commission, where my whole goal is to, well, one, it is to help people improve their fitness, but in terms of the metric of success that measures that, and the business goal of that would be producing as much revenue as possible through a few different streams, but primarily servicing PT sessions that I sell as programs. Just a brief rundown. Basically, members, typically new members, but also everyday previous current members are my market, and I get intro sessions booked with these clients based off of a couple different lead generation strategies, or just simply the demand of the service itself, where I consult with them, and if it makes sense, then service them with programs as a one-on-one personal trainer. Right now, I am at 2 clients, $1,500 a month revenue. There's a lot that goes into that, but this is what I spend my mornings, typically Sunday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, 5 mornings a week, around the times of anywhere from 7 to noon, as early as 5 a.m. and as late as 8 p.m. This takes up 15 to 20 hours of my week, and the reason I do this, one, is my passion as fitness, and I do believe it's my calling and or my purpose to serve others and educate others in regards to physical fitness, health, increasing people's health, performance and aesthetic goals, all in all. You'll see how I evolve as a salesman, how I evolve as a communicator in a relationship-based service business, and ultimately how high-end personal trainer operates. So if that's something you're interested in, either being a full-time or part-time personal trainer, you want to make a living out of it, you like fitness, you want to make money out of fitness, really anything along those lines, this storyline will be very helpful for you. The reason I'll kind of go into each reason why I'm not fully on one individual thing in any sense. I would say the biggest reason is with 168 hours in a week, I believe in more of a optimal return in my work than a maximal return. And what I mean by that is I feel as though 20 hours a week as a personal trainer, perhaps 20 hours a week as a real estate agent, and 20 hours a week building my own business match the long-term goals I want as a businessman, and allows me to explore different businesses, markets, price levels, experiences as a whole as an entrepreneur, and that is personal training. I would rank it as my mid-tier price option in terms of what I'm selling, and I would rank it probably the same way, second in what would be the word, kind of like money-making opportunity. So that is the reason I started with that one, is it tends to be what I start my morning with as someone who loves working out and exercising first thing in the day, as well as many entrepreneurs. I also think it has the quickest turnover to success and the shortest timeline for me in terms of a business. One being in terms of building a team or a scalable business. It's very one-on-one. I'm minimized to my hours in a day, and at a certain point, I'll maximize the level of pricing based off my clients. Thought I heard something in my car, as well as just the amount of hours I can service PT sessions. I'm looking at the end of year goal being about, on average, I believe about 13 sessions a week, which comes out to about 50 sessions a month, but I think the goal is about like 47 sessions a month, 12 to 13, and in that range. And what that does is that provides me with a stable income that also is through a large corporation. It is my W-2. I'm able to start my mornings with it, have a future, have career options of employment that work for me, and it gives me that stability after those 20 hours that I've given in the mornings over the week, and the exercise that I'm able to do, and getting my mindset right, and more of a less stressful work area. I'm able to then allocate those hours after to more long-term income potential riskier ventures. So that is PT. Honestly, it's my most favorite jobs I've ever had. It involves sales and training, being a businessman, being in shape, and something I've always valued and really enjoyed. And that is kind of storyline one. Storyline two is real estate. I've been a real estate agent for about a year. I've actively pursued real estate as a part-time or full-time career for about 3 to 4 months on and off. I have successfully done one deal over that time as a lease, as me as my own client, as well as my friends' roommates as a tenant rep. I have probably the most opportunity in this realm. I would rank it number one in ticket pricing, as well as income possibility, and this is what I want to build my long-term career in. Being under Gary Green, a brokerage allows me a combination of that W-2 and corporate structure, as well as the independent contracting / self-employment route. Again, another 100% commission job with probably the most amount of potential upside, second most in scalability, with the ability to bring on my own team, hire my own employees, and start to run a business in this market and industry, and is probably the one I'm I would say least experienced in, but also most excited for. A little more background: I have my future roommate will be my mentor / coach, who is years ahead of me in terms of the real estate business, but I would say this is going to be an interesting storyline, because you're seeing it essentially from day zero, day one, of taking it seriously. And while it is not technically day one, a lot of businesses that I've tried in the past don't actually start when you first try it. They kind of start after you kind of actually understand the business. And I believe at this point in time, I actually understand the business itself to be successful. And so really looking forward to that. As far as numbers go, we're really just still learning lead generation with a couple potential prospects over the next 1 to 2 months, but that will change as we learn lead gen. I would also say, I want to reinforce the emphasis on having a mentor that is going to not guarantee my success, but really hold me accountable in diving into this. As for time allotment, after PT, and usually after lunch, the kind of noon to 4-ish time period, as well as the after dinner times, will be where I will probably see most time spent on this business. This will be really interesting to people potentially looking to enter the real estate business, become a real estate agent or agent of any aspect. And I think anyone really graduating or maybe trying to build a career out of college that isn't the standard corporate route, but is maybe tied to a brokerage or has some sort of agency aspect to it, you will really enjoy this. Again, not too much to say on it. I have some potential prospects for some potential sales, but definitely the one with the most opportunity for me to grow, but also to succeed in. And my third and final venture is my longest standing career / business, which is I sell firewood. I have been selling firewood seasonally for the last 4 years, one under a different business or not my own, and the last 3 as my own practice. I have proven myself as an entrepreneur, mostly in this one, as in fully supporting myself over months at a time, with the profit from this business. It is also probably my most niche business. I don't plan on having a lot of viewers that solely plan on selling firewood and building a firewood business. However, if you are someone looking to build a possibly low-skilled labor service-based business, I believe this storyline will probably be the most interesting for you. Whether that's maybe a maid cleaning business, a moving company, anything along those kind of lines, maybe even a lawn mowing business, this storyline will be most interesting for you. Having the most experience in this industry and just having the most experience in this industry is going to allow me to put this one on the back burner. And really the goal with this one is to turn it into an asset and not necessarily a job. I would say this is the one I want to be least hands off on, and most in like a delegating role to build like cash flow systems and a true business. So again, probably most heavily on the business side, also probably the least time consuming, mainly because I've already put in the years of the intense long grind time. So to break that one down a little more, since I was able to break down PT and what I'm actually doing, firewood is simple to me now that I understand it as a business. And like as in any business, but in this one specifically, we're looking at 2 sides of business. You're looking at getting customers, and then you're looking at servicing customers. Same thing with personal training, same thing with real estate. With the servicing the actual customers, you're looking at about 4 core processes, which involve finding the wood, producing the wood or cutting and splitting the wood, and then delivering the wood. I said 5. I narrowed those down a little bit more. But yeah, what I kind of looked at it as is you source the wood. From the wood that you've sourced, you now can cut it into rounds. From there, with the chainsaw, you can split it into firewood, and then after that, you deliver the firewood, or the logistical process of getting it to the customer, and then typically we also stack the wood and receive payment, and that is the operational cycle of firewood. On the other end, it is the marketing side. I would say this is the lowest ticket item easily, ranging from anywhere from a $10 bundle, which is probably less than 1% of what we do, and then ranging anywhere from 150 to 450, which is probably about 95% of the ticket price. And then we do have the occasional 3 to 4% of anything from 500 to I think 800 is probably the most amount of firewood we've sold in a given ticket. So this one has a lot of opportunity as an asset, as a like a true business to sell, as a kind of standalone, just true business model. I also have the most experience in this and have probably grown the most as an entrepreneur as this. The biggest bottleneck being it is very cyclical, but with this being in August, we kind of take off from August to February, and this is where I see this is the season of it. So knowing that I'll have the success in that while having the baseline of PT, and then also the new variable of real estate, really, if we even just broke it down kind of from, like I said, a time frame standpoint, spending 15 to 20 hours a week in the mornings doing personal training, I'm spending 15 to 20 hours a week in the afternoons doing real estate. Potentially you need to push that up to 30 with it being the first season, and I'm just not going to be as efficient. And then firewood, looking at the last 5 to 20 hours of the day / weekends, and backfilling any of our time, just really just building relationships, taking our time with God, and just making sure we're addressing finances, education, goals, and really just what I would say is any other time I'm spent is really just on I would say administrative or support for success in those realms. So as you can tell, I have a very stacked plate. Really anything that doesn't have to do with one of these three things, or supporting these three things, is a distraction. Distractions I want to go ahead and highlight right now for myself that I see being a big problem are substances, or just bad stuff, like unhealthy, I don't want to say, I would just say unhealthy substances. And this ranges anywhere from substances, habits, anything unhealthy, food, alcohol, drugs that aren't directly correlated to the business, like caffeine, I think, is pretty standard for business. That's pretty much it. But yeah, I'm really trying to stay away, from the party drugs and, that whole party life too. These are all examples of distractions. Another one, women. Right now, I'm just not looking for my partner. I'm open to it, but I'm not looking. That's just, I'm not. If it happens, it happens, but I'm focused solely on those three. That being, I think, one of the biggest distraction killers of men of our generation. It's this chasing women thing that I've been guilty of, that plenty of people I know are guilty of. It's a fun sport, don't get me wrong, and don't make me think I'm objectifying women for that. It's because, if anything, I'm judging men on objectifying women in that sense. I think a relationship is way more valuable than that. Neither here nor there. You kind of see what I'm getting at in terms of the distractions. Anything else, really any leisure that isn't necessarily directly correlated to recovery, to be more efficient in my three aspects of business, I will also count as things I'm negating. So there you have it. This is what I'm doing. We'll get into a second episode where I can kind of start breaking down where we are in these businesses, but as you can tell, I have a lot on my plate. Deals in the works, revenue always trying to flow in, building systems to support that revenue growth, and then being able to balance all three while being a human being and not a complete cyborg is the goal. So I can't think of any other way I would rather spend being 25 than doing exactly what I'm telling you guys, and I hope that I can stay on track for all reasons to be able to successfully do this. I know it will not be easy. I know I will fall off. I know I will freak out. I know I will make mistakes. I know I will fail. But the whole goal is to fail forward, look back a year from now and see where I'm at and say, hey, what's the goal for Firewood now? What's the goal for personal training now? What's the goal for real estate now? And continually do that until, I can no longer grow, or there's no longer a need for me to grow, or, maybe eventually, one day starting a family and having these kind of on the back burner to support this family. And I think that would be the best way to frame what I am doing. I am doing this for obviously myself, right? But for my future family, and I want to overly obsess and overly prioritize this so that when my family comes, I can focus on that. And I think most of us can agree, family is one of the most important things to humanity, to humans, to the self, just in terms of like, if you had to ask the question of why, like, okay, Chase, you just made this whole video, you just talked about these 3 businesses, why these 3, why this? That is why. I think you can understand it. Don't think it's crazy to think. I think anyone who's thinking less of this as their goals is just simply distracted from the truth. And I have to believe that for it to be my truth. It doesn't make it your truth. It doesn't make it everyone's truth. This is my truth. This is how I'm gonna get there. This is how I'm gonna spend the rest of my 20s. Really looking forward to this. I think that pretty much gets everything. As that being said, this is episode 0. Welcome to Road to Success.